in sights. Pam's got the vibe to make it right. Your backstage pass, your front row seat. Pam Entertainment can't be beat. Hit that play, you're gonna stay. Pam Entertainment leads the way. Pam Entertainment. It's the place you wanna be.
Hello, 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 hello. Listen, we're fixing to get into it. We're fixing to get into it. As you all are entering, please make sure that you all are hitting that like button. And if you're liking what you see, please, please subscribe. Here are my two channels. And I'd love to see you there. I don't think I've had the ticker on in a while. Let's put this on down at the bottom. All right, people. This is a This Week in Celebrity News kind of snippet. We're going to be going over the dismissed or not guilty. We're going to go over some court cases that have been in the news this week, and I want to tell you what's going on and give you my opinion about what's going on. So we're going to start with the Stefon Diggs grape trial. And if you're not familiar, Stefon Diggs is an NFL player. He was released from a team. He was released after the allegations of strangulation and not paying his live-in chef her wages. So that went to court this week. It was a 2-day court hearing. And the result of that court hearing is that he was found not guilty on all charges. I'm going to go let NBC tell us what exactly happened, and then I'm going to come back with the rest of my commentary. Let's get over to NBC real quick. Let's see if we can get this to start.
In Oklahoma after a mass shooting at a campground left dozens injured.
Sorry, y'all. Had it playing for too long.
New England Patriots wide receiver Stefon Diggs found not guilty by a Massachusetts jury on that felony charge of strangulation and a misdemeanor charge of assault and battery. Here's the moment now that verdict was read. Watch this.
On count one, strangulation or suffocation, what is your verdict? Guilty or not guilty?
Not guilty.
On count two, the charge of assault and battery, what is your verdict? Guilty or not guilty?
Not guilty.
Remember, this case was brought against him by his former chef, who claimed that Diggs slapped and choked her during an argument. Diggs' attorneys say it never happened. Misty Maris has been following this one for us. This was a pretty quick trial, I think. The jury only deliberated a few hours here. Are you surprised by the verdict, or does it track what you thought, what tea leaves you read?
Yeah, I'm not surprised by the verdict because Adams, the alleged victim in this case, had a really tough time on cross-examination, Hallie. This case was all about timeline. This alleged altercation happened on December 2nd. It wasn't reported until December 16th. The defense was able to effectively present witnesses that said that they did not see anything, that there was no indication that this altercation happened. They were able to use video of the alleged victim on December 9th, right in between that time, having fun on a trip in New York. Basically, they were really able to attack credibility and say that these allegations were a part of a scheme to try and elicit money, and that credibility attack really was effective by the defense. So I'm not surprised to see this. Remember, no other evidence was at play. This was largely based on Adams and her testimony alone. So it was really whether or not the jury believed her side of the story.
What do you make, Misty, of Diggs' decision not to take the stand in his own defense? He had the option to, and he didn't.
He certainly did. And I would have thought that maybe he would accept that Adams' testimony was not good for the prosecution. So when the defense is able to effectively cross-examine, get those credibility issues out in front of the jury, it's often not worth the risk to actually put the defendant on the stand. It could actually upset what is already really, really effective testimony by a witness for the prosecution. And remember, the defense never has to testify, and all they've got to do is raise reasonable doubt. So I think it was a very strategic decision that was made, given the way that the prime witness, the Adams testimony, played out. Keep in mind, Hallie, even the prosecution during closing arguments had to admit to the jury and say she was evasive, she was combative, but you should believe her anyway. That's never a good sign.
Misty Maris, thank you very much for breaking that down for us.
Now, you heard what NBC had to say. There is a timeline provided by the Enterprise here. We're not going to go through the whole timeline, but apparently he was supposed to have strangled her via an argument. And according to what the information that I have, the argument was about unpaid wages. We hear her on the stand under cross-examination, showing that she was paid for what she said that she was not paid for. And it just goes back and forth, and it goes back and forth, right? Now, in between time and in the meantime, this man has lost a $69 million contract, and he was dropped by the New England Patriots. Now, I don't know or have any word on whether or not the Patriots are going to sign him back. None of that. I also want you all to be aware that he also has another case that's pending on him as well. So, if you all are familiar with Stefon Diggs, he is a football player. Now, if he's the same young man that I'm thinking about, he's the young man that has like 4 or 5 babies born in the same year. And I think Cardi B was one of the people that had a baby around the same time of the year. So he's a young man that don't mind, he don't have as much dick discipline as he should. He has talent, but the dick discipline is what's getting him in trouble. The lack thereof. And I've told you all young men before, if you all are planning on reaching whatever highest heights that you want to reach, dick discipline is key. Because now you're sitting out here with 9, 10, 11, 12 baby mamas. And particularly if you are an athlete, you all make a lot of money up front and not thinking about the fact that you have a whole life ahead of you all. You all will make $100 and $200 million in the first 5 years of your adult life, and then have to take, from the splits that you have to do with your agent and whoever it is, the IRS and all of that other stuff, that $100 million quickly dwindles to maybe $35 to $40 million. And you're going to have to live off that $35 and $45 million to the end of your lifetime. Not excluding the fact that if you're business minded, you would have been made investments and all of those other things. All of that to say, and I hope I'm not sounding like I'm pocket watching, but if from all of that hard work that you have done and you have $35 million, that's huge. That $35 million seems to dwindle real quick when you start adding all of this child support money and all kinds of things going on. And particularly if you're asked to pay, you've got 8 kids, and for each one of your kids, you're asked to pay $120,000 a year. For 8 kids, that adds up really, really quickly. And I'm not going to even try to do the math on that one, of how much money you'll be spending in child support payments alone with that many children. I think he has like 6, if I'm not mistaken. And like I said, I don't want to pocket watch, but I'm just going to put 6. That's $720,000 a year in child support payments. If those payments are the $10,000, the $8,000, whatever it is your income is, the 10% of whatever your income is, So you have to look at stuff like that. And, if you want to be able to have the money that you need to have, your dig discipline has to be on point. But as I've said that, one of the issues that have cropped up for me is the fact that you have these people putting up these charges on folks, and for whatever reason, these charges either cannot be litigated effectively or that they're false. And I want to talk about both issues. I am surprised that the prosecution brought this case up with the flimsy of evidence that they had. And the reason why I say this, because this is interesting to me. I think that they brought this case up because of the fact of Stefon Diggs being a celebrity athlete, dating Cardi B, all of those different things. I think that they brought that up for that, because I cannot see for the life of me how this case went to court. And then for the prosecution to have the backpedal and pussy pop. Oh, she wasn't a good witness, but I can concede that she wasn't a good witness, but y'all have to believe. No. Because some parts of that testimony, particularly when they started asking her about payments and when she got paid and all this other stuff and checks that were cashed and all this other stuff, the way she was being all mealy-mouthed about it and not trying to answer the questions or acting like she didn't understand the question when the question was straightforward. No. So on the first path, I don't understand why the prosecution brought this case. Another topic, and going to the second topic that I talked about, that a lot of people online are talking about the fact that you have young ladies, and we have to be very truthful about this, that bring up these cases in order because they are lover scorned. So you have young ladies bringing up R-word cases, DV cases, whatever, all of these little different cases that are coming up because they are scorned, or because they know that if they bring up that case and then they can get to them and litigate a payout, particularly in a civil case, they can litigate a payout. These are some of the things that are happening. So in essence, what's happening is that a person is guilty until they're proven innocent. And a lot of different organizations are willing to cut their losses and not sit back and figure out whether or not this person is guilty or not. And I think with the NFL, you all help me out, because there was a case with the guy in the massages. You remember this guy was having the masseuse massage him, and he ended up doing some improper things about removing his towel or being naked or allowing his member to rise. It was a whole lot of stuff going on. And I remember that the NFL kind of backed him until they couldn't back him. And so now I see that the NFL just cut Stefon off and didn't allow this case to go through. So I don't know exactly what they're going to do with him, because he was accused. He was found not guilty. I am not sure if he has any other morality things going on in his clause or not. I don't know. But what I do know is that we have seen several cases that have come up where a young lady has accused a man of improprieties, has called the police. These people have had issues and problems with the law, and then turn around, either they recant or either they turn around and are proven to have lied. And that part, proven to have lied, and particularly when you've done a report to the police, a lot of people are really sitting down and wanting to have that conversation about, should these women be prosecuted for falsifying police reports, for lying to officials, and should that be increased from a misdemeanor to a felony? There's a case, y'all, was the man's name Brian Banks, where he was a high school standout, and a girl that he went to a party with or was dating said that he had raped her. He was convicted and went to jail. and then she sued the school district, and she won a payout. And this young man spent about 4 or 5 years in jail, in prison, excuse me. And then the woman was recorded later on saying that she lied on stand. Her mama made her lie. All these people made her lie. She got a payout from the school system and all of this other stuff. And he ended up getting his case looked at again, and I believe that they threw it out. I don't know what the proper legal terminology for it. But the point is, this man spent 5 years of his life in prison. She gets a payout, and he doesn't get. She is not convicted. I don't know if she had to pay that money back to the district or not, because she got that money under false pretenses. I don't know. But there is that case to me is a big case about lying under oath, perjury, and all those different things, moving them up from misdemeanors to felonies. Because that man can't get those 5 years, and she took away 5 years of that young man's life. He could have played college football. He could have done all these different things, but he was in prison, falsely accused. But we have seen that these types of things for certain types of women is a chance they're willing to take, because this false reporting and all this stuff is actually just a misdemeanor. So what do you all think about that? Do you think that people who lie under oath, they make false statements, do you think that those crimes should be upgraded to a felony where you have to serve 5 years for that? Y'all let me know down in the comments. Let's move on. We are almost through. Again, as you all are here, please make sure that you all are hitting that like button. I really do appreciate it. And make sure that you subscribe to both of my channels. Give me one quick. We are going to read an article. Let me cue it up. It is queued up. Let's go over it. So you remember, let me see. You remember this lawsuit? You had Brian King Joseph suing Trey Ball Studios, Willard Carroll Smith, and a whole bunch of John Does. His complaint was retaliation and violation of FEHA, retaliation pursuant to California Labor Code, wrongful termination in violation of public policy, Bain Act violation, Ralph Act violation, and SH in violation of FEHA. You remember that? Let me just go back over exactly what had happened was. So he alleges that he met Will Smith. Will Smith liked him because he's a violinist. Will Smith liked his work. He auditioned for Will Smith, and he was allowed, because of that audition, he won the opportunity to tour with Will Smith on his tour last year. He went to one stop. They rehearsed. They did I think one television appearance, and then they went on to do some appearances they started the tour, actually, is what happened. On the first night of the tour, he says that in his room, he found some paraphernalia, some sexual paraphernalia and all this other stuff, and a note indicating somebody was going to come in and do something or whatever. He says it was from the information that we read in the lawsuit, it seemed like somebody left, the person who was in the room previously left some items in there. Well, this young man, Brian King Joseph, assumed that it was Will Smith wanting to come into his room and to perform acts of an intimate nature with him. He claims he got upset. He claimed he called the staff at the hotel. He talked to somebody in Will Smith's organization. All of these different things. He was upset. He said he didn't feel safe. He thought somebody was going to come in his room and attack him at any time. They went over all this back and forth. He says that he thought that everything was taken care of until that they were supposed to do a show on one of the late night shows. I don't know if it was Jimmy Kimmel or whatever show it was. That when he got to the show, he says he was running just a tad late. When he got to the show, they told him his services was no longer needed. So therefore, he filed this lawsuit. So if you want to get more information or go through this whole lawsuit, I do have a video on my channel going over that. So now, with that information, we're going to read this article of TMZ. The judge slaps down the SH case. The lawsuit is dismissed. So the judge said, no, son. No. I'm sorry. This is not what we're going to do. So let's read what TMZ says the judge says. Will Smith may have played the genie in the Aladdin remake, but now he's the one getting his wishes granted because a judge has tossed a SH suit against him, TMZ has learned. As you know, violinist Brian King Joseph, who toured with Will last year, sued the actor a few months back for sexual harassment and wrongful termination regarding an alleged incident in 2025. He claimed someone entered his Las Vegas hotel room when he wasn't there and left a note that read, "Brian, I'll be back, just us," which he said was signed by Stone F. Brian claims the alleged intruder also left wipes, beer, and HIV meds. In the suit, he alleges that Smith was grooming and priming him for intimate activity. TMZ obtained a copy of the judge's ruling from Tuesday, which shows that he agreed with the A-lister. The judge says Brian's suit doesn't qualify as SH because it fails to adequately allege the conduct that is sufficiently severe or pervasive. He also writes that BKJ hadn't sufficiently pled facts that only other people with access to his hotel room were Will or his management, because he had left his bag with his room key in a van with other crew members before it was returned to him a couple of hours later. The judge tossed the case, but did Brian the opportunity to amend his complaint and try to fix the problems that got it thrown out of court. So the judge is giving him another bite at the apple, but I doubt that he'll take it because, again, the judge, this is what was clear to me. Because he had left his bag with his room key in a van with other folks, he don't know who had access to his room because somebody else could have had a key. Somebody else could have had a key. Because I remember in the lawsuit, he did say that he left his bag in the van because he thought that, I don't know what he thought. He said something like he left the bag in the van. He thought that van was only going to be accessible to the staff. And then he went in and he rehearsed with that bag. But everybody else on the van took their bags off the bus. He left his on the bus. But anyway. So the judge has thrown it out. What do you all think of that? Do you think that was because when we read the lawsuit, I couldn't understand how this lawsuit was even put forth. Because it read like incomplete. That's the better word that I can tell you. I remember reading this and felt like it was incomplete. There was just some information that wasn't there. You know, you were talking about Will Smith and Will Smith trying to groom you, but you only had very limited interactions with him. And he was being cordial to you. And you were saying that those cordial interactions were, you interpreted them as intimate. Child, a mess. What do you all think about these things that are dismissed or not guilty? Child, I wonder what Stephon Diggs is going to do. I wonder, is he going to go back and negotiate either with the New England Patriots, or is he going to try to find another team to go to? Well, he's going to have to figure that out. I wonder what's going to happen with this chef. Do you think he should sue this chef for false accusations? Can he sue her for false accusations? One of the things that she has definitely shown is that I doubt that she'll get any more celebrity clients. I doubt sincerely that she'll get any more celebrity clients. And what do you all think about the judge tossing out the civil lawsuit of Will Smith filed against him? What do y'all think about that? All right, people, we do this every week. Please like, comment, and subscribe. Please share this video if you care. Y'all, we've got these lawsuits that have been dismissed or the people have been felt not guilty. And as any of the lawsuits that I have gone over before, there's a conclusion that has come to them, I'll definitely come back to you all. All right, people, please tell a friend, tell a kin, tell a coworker, tell that heifer that you can't stand that I'm over here making these videos. And as always, people, bye-bye.